In the quiet darkness of a vast, faraway galaxy, a group of alien beings gathered around their control center, staring at a large holographic screen. The room was dimly lit, and the atmosphere was tense, as if something significant was about to happen. These aliens, known for their advanced technology and superior intellect, had spent centuries studying countless planets, civilizations, and species. They had visited and conquered many worlds, observing the rise and fall of countless others. Yet, despite their vast knowledge, Earth remained an enigma. For years, these aliens had watched humans from a distance, fascinated by their unpredictable behavior. At first, they had assumed that humanity was weak, primitive even, compared to the more advanced species they had encountered. Earth seemed to be filled with war, poverty, and disorder. The aliens wondered how such a chaotic and unstable species could survive in a galaxy so full of advanced civilizations. They had studied humans endlessly, but still, they couldn't understand why this species had managed to survive for so long. Suddenly, the air in the control room grew heavier, and the atmosphere seemed to shift. A strange energy filled the room, something the aliens couldn't explain. Without warning, a new message appeared on their screen, unlike any other communication they had received before. It was an encrypted message, one that bypassed their usual security systems. At first, they couldn't understand it, but as the message decoded, the words that appeared made them freeze. "Humans are not what they seem," the message read. The aliens exchanged nervous glances. They had never seen anything like this before. The message wasn't just a warning. It was an invitation to uncover something that had been hidden for millennia. What did it mean? Who had sent it? And more importantly, what were they hiding? One of the alien leaders, a tall being with shimmering blue skin and eyes that glowed like stars, stepped forward. He had led his people for hundreds of years, overseeing countless missions across the galaxy. He was known for his calm demeanor and sharp intellect. But now, his face was filled with uncertainty. He had always prided himself on knowing everything, yet this message was unlike anything he had ever encountered. "We need to investigate this immediately," he said, his voice deep and filled with urgency. The other aliens nodded in agreement, each of them equally puzzled and intrigued. What could this mean for them? They had studied humanity for so long, yet there was still so much they didn't understand. If humans were hiding something, what could it be? And why would they choose to keep it a secret? Another alien, a smaller, more nimble creature with translucent skin, quickly tapped at the controls, accessing deeper layers of information. The data poured onto the screen in front of them, showing images of Earth, its cities, its people, and its history. The more they looked, the more confused they became. There was something in the humans' history, something buried deep within their DNA, something that couldn't be explained by their current understanding of biology and evolution. "These humans, they are unlike any species we have encountered," the leader muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. The message seemed to hint at something much greater than just physical power. There was something about their minds, their emotions, their very essence that was unlike anything the aliens had seen before. As the alien group continued to analyze the information, one of them, a young scout who had recently joined their ranks, spoke up. "What if they've been hiding their true potential all along?" he asked, his voice trembling with the weight of the thought. "What if their power is beyond anything we could imagine?" The leader turned to face the scout, his expression darkening. "What are you suggesting?" he asked, his voice steady but filled with a hint of concern. "I'm saying that humans might not be as weak as we think," the scout replied. "Maybe they've been hiding their true abilities from the rest of the universe, waiting for the right moment to reveal them." The room fell silent, and the air grew even thicker with tension. The idea that humans might be hiding their true strength was a terrifying thought. For all their advanced technology and knowledge, the aliens had never considered the possibility that Earth's inhabitants could be far more powerful than they appeared. The message continued to flash on the screen, its meaning becoming clearer with each passing moment. They are not what they seem. They have a power that could change the balance of the universe. The word sent a shiver down the spines of the aliens. Could it be true? Could the humans be hiding an unimaginable strength? A strength that could rival even their own. The leader turned to his team, his expression one of determination. We must learn more. We must discover the truth about humanity. If they are hiding something, we need to know what it is. And we need to know why they're hiding it. Without another word, the aliens set their course for Earth, their minds racing with questions. What had they missed in their observations of humanity? What secrets were buried deep within the human race? They had always seen humans as an inferior species, but now they weren't so sure. Perhaps the humans weren't the weaklings they had believed them to be. Perhaps in their own way, humans were hiding a strength that could shift the very balance of power in the universe. As their ship traveled through the vast expanse of space toward Earth, the aliens couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of uncovering something incredible, something that could change everything. They had no idea what they were about to discover, but one thing was certain. Earth was no longer just another insignificant planet. It had become the center of their universe, and the answers they were about to find would shape the future of every species in the galaxy. And so, with the mysterious message still flashing in their minds, the aliens moved closer to Earth, unaware that their arrival would set in motion a chain of events that would forever change the fate of both humanity and the galaxy itself. As the alien ship moved closer to Earth, the tension in the control room was palpable. The once confident aliens, who had observed countless civilizations, now found themselves uncertain. They had expected to find a weak, primitive species on Earth, but the message they received had shattered their understanding of humanity. What was this hidden power they had been warned about? And why had humans chosen to keep it secret? They knew they had to find out, but the fear that gnawed at them was something they had never experienced before. The leader, still shaken by the implications of the message, turned to the rest of his crew. His eyes, once calm and filled with wisdom, now glowed with a mix of uncertainty and urgency. We've studied Earth for years, and yet we know so little about them. Something is happening there, something we missed. We need to uncover the truth. His words were met with silence. The aliens all had the same thoughts running through their minds. What if the humans were hiding their true strength? What if this species had the potential to outmatch even the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy? What would that mean for their own survival? The scout, who had first voiced the idea of humans hiding their power, now spoke up again, his voice more sure this time. Maybe we've been looking at Earth all wrong. Maybe they don't show their strength because they don't want to. What if they'd been holding back, waiting for the right moment to reveal it? The leader considered this thought, the weight of it pressing down on him. That's a dangerous assumption, but we cannot ignore the possibility. He turned to the control panel and, with a few swift commands, zoomed in on Earth. They had arrived at the planet's orbit, and now they would begin their investigation. As the alien ship circled Earth, they began scanning its surface, looking for any sign of this hidden power. They focused their attention on the human population, trying to find clues hidden in their behavior, their technology, their history. But what they found was not what they had expected. There were moments in human history, strange and unexplained events, where humanity had shown glimpses of an unimaginable strength. These were the moments that made the aliens question everything they thought they knew. In one instance, they observed a group of humans, vastly outnumbered, standing up against an overwhelming enemy. Despite their fear, despite the odds stacked against them, the humans fought with a kind of desperation and resolve that seemed almost unnatural. They didn't retreat, didn't give up, but fought until the end. The aliens couldn't help but wonder, was this the hidden power the message had warned about? Then they looked deeper. The records from humanity's past showed an even stranger phenomenon. Moments of sudden, unexplainable genius, when entire groups of people seemed to come together and achieve the impossible. Scientists made breakthroughs that changed the course of history. Leaders rose from obscurity to lead great nations, and artists created works that transcended time. But in all these moments, the humans didn't seem to be relying on advanced technology or superior intellect. Instead, it was something deeper, a drive, an energy that pushed them beyond what they should have been capable of. One alien scientist, fascinated by this new discovery, turned to the leader. There are patterns here, small, subtle ones, but they're undeniable. At certain points in history, humans have demonstrated powers, not physical abilities, but something much deeper. It's like they tap into something inside themselves, something they don't understand. And then, just as quickly, it disappears. The leader's eyes narrowed, a hidden potential, a power that humans themselves may not even fully comprehend. He looked out at the blue and green planet before them, a world teeming with life, but also filled with so much untapped energy. This changes everything. The aliens continued their observations, gathering data about these mysterious moments in human history. They noticed a pattern, something even stranger. There were periods of calm, followed by bursts of intense human activity. Every time humans faced a crisis, when they were pushed to the edge, that was when they seemed to awaken their hidden power. It was as if their strength was tied to moments of extreme need, of desperation. The aliens began to understand that the humans were not as weak as they had first thought. They were resilient, adaptable, and capable of achieving the impossible when the stakes were high. And this was only the beginning. The more the aliens learned, the more they realized that this hidden power might not be physical at all. It was something much more complex and far-reaching than anything they had imagined. One alien technician, a being with sharp, almost metallic features, sat back in his seat. I'm beginning to think this isn't just about their strength. It's about their spirit. The humans, they fight not just for survival, but for something more. A sense of purpose, something that drives them to achieve the unachievable. The leader was silent for a moment. Yes, their purpose. It is something we can't measure or understand, but it is there, beneath the surface, waiting to emerge. The scout, the young one who had first suggested that humans were hiding their true power, now had an even darker thought. What if this is just the beginning? What if they are about to unlock something we aren't ready for? The leader turned sharply. What do you mean? The message we received, it wasn't just a warning. It was a call to action. The humans may not even realize it yet, but their hidden power is awakening. And once it does, we may be the ones in danger. A cold silence filled the room as the gravity of the situation sank in. The aliens had always believed that they were the most advanced species in the galaxy, that they held the power to control everything. But now, they weren't so sure. If humans had a hidden strength, one they had kept secret for so long, then they could be facing a challenge unlike anything they had ever encountered. The leader stared at the screen in front of him, his mind racing. What if the humans weren't the weaklings they had thought? What if they were something far more dangerous? They couldn't afford to make a mistake. They needed to know everything about this hidden power before it was too late. And as the ship hovered over Earth, ready to begin their mission, the aliens couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to uncover something that would change the fate of the universe, something far more powerful than they could ever have imagined. The ship hovered above Earth, its sleek, dark form barely noticeable against the vast expanse of space. Inside, the aliens' minds were filled with questions. Each one of them had studied countless civilizations, yet none of them could shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of discovering something that would defy everything they had learned. As they analyzed the data, they could see the strange patterns emerging from Earth's history, from the mysterious message, and from the strange bursts of power humans exhibited when faced with impossible odds. The leader of the group, the one who had always been calm and composed in the face of the unknown, now felt a sense of urgency rising within him. Every second, every moment was critical. If humans had been hiding something all along, it would only be a matter of time before they unlocked this hidden power, and when they did, the consequences would be far-reaching. What would that mean for the galaxy? What would that mean for them? The leader turned to his second-in-command, a sharp-eyed alien with silver skin and a mind as quick as lightning. "We need to go deeper into their history," he said, his voice filled with determination. "There must be something we are missing. If there's a power hidden in their DNA, we have to understand how it works. We need to find the catalyst, the trigger that awakens this strength in them." The second-in-command nodded, quickly tapping the controls to access more advanced data about human evolution and their collective history. The ship's computer displayed an array of images, human achievements, moments of unexpected brilliance, times when humanity had seemed on the brink of destruction, yet somehow managed to pull through with extraordinary feats. They saw it all: the great wars, the struggles for freedom, the fight for survival against overwhelming forces. The aliens studied records of famous leaders, revolutionary thinkers, and inventors who had reshaped the world with their ideas. But what stood out to them the most was the unexpected nature of these events. Time and time again, humans seemed to rise to the occasion, each time bringing forth a new form of power, something that didn't quite fit within the limits of normal biology. This power, the second-in-command mused, it's not just about physical strength or intelligence. It's something beyond that, something within their spirit. The leader looked out into the depths of space, his mind racing. Yes, it's a strength that comes from their very will to survive. A power that's triggered not by external forces, but from within themselves. A raw, emotional drive that pushes them beyond anything they should be capable of. There was a long silence as the team pondered this revelation. The scout, the young one who had first suggested that humans were hiding their true potentials, spoke again, his voice laced with a mix of excitement and fear. What if it's more than that? What if they've been consciously hiding their power? What if, for some reason, they've been waiting for the right moment to reveal it? The leader nodded slowly. That's a dangerous thought. If humans have been hiding their true abilities all this time, we may have underestimated them in ways we cannot even imagine. What would happen if they chose to reveal their power to the rest of the galaxy? What if they are preparing for something that we don't understand yet? The thought sent a chill down the spines of the aliens. Could it be true? Could humans have been waiting for the right time to unleash their hidden strength on a scale that could shake the galaxy to its core? They had believed the humans were merely a species struggling for survival, but now it seemed that the humans might be playing a far more complex game. As the ship circled Earth, the leader gave the order to focus on key events in humanity's history. There had to be a clue, something that could explain the exact nature of this hidden power. They focused on the most significant moments of human struggle, trying to see patterns in the chaos. One event caught their attention: a series of protests, led by a small group of individuals, against an oppressive regime. The aliens had witnessed revolutions on countless planets, but what made this particular moment stand out was the way these humans fought not just with weapons, but with sheer willpower. Despite being outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched in every way, they refused to back down. The aliens could see the energy in their actions. It wasn't just a fight for freedom. It was as if something deep inside them was pushing them beyond their physical limits. The leader clenched his fists. This is what we've been missing. The true power of humans is not just in their physical ability. It's their will to fight, their refusal to surrender. Even when they have nothing left, they dig deeper, and that's what makes them dangerous. The scout nodded, his face pale. It's like their greatest strength comes from their unity, from the belief that they can achieve the impossible, even when everything tells them they can't. The leader's eyes darkened. If this is true, if humans have the ability to channel this power at will, then the galaxy is not ready for what's coming. As they continued to monitor Earth, the aliens noticed something even more unsettling. The humans seemed to be unaware of the power they were hiding. It was as if they had only tapped into it in moments of extreme stress or need, but there was no indication that they fully understood the depth of their own potential. The message they had received, the warning about humanity's hidden strength, seemed to suggest that humans didn't even realize what they were capable of. What if they unlock it all at once? The second in command asked, his voice trembling slightly. What if the tipping point has already arrived, and they don't even know it? The leader turned to the scout. You were right to warn us. If this power is awakened on a global scale, it could change everything. We must prepare ourselves for what's to come. We cannot let this hidden strength become something that could threaten the stability of the galaxy. The tension was rising. Every alien in the room could feel it. The humans, these seemingly primitive creatures, had something inside them that the aliens could barely comprehend. Something so powerful, so unpredictable, that it could shift the balance of power in the entire universe. The leader made a decision. We need to land. We need to observe from the ground. We have to know if they are ready to awaken this power or if they are still unaware of it themselves. We can't let this opportunity slip through our fingers. As the alien ship descended toward Earth, the leader's mind was filled with both hope and dread. What if the humans truly had the power to change everything? What if they were on the verge of unlocking their full potential? The galaxy would never be the same again, and neither would the aliens who had so long underestimated them. They were about to find out, and when they did, the future of all species could hang in the balance. The ship finally touched down on Earth's surface. The aliens disembarked, ready to confront humanity's hidden power. But as they set foot on this strange, unpredictable world, one question haunted them. What would humanity do with the power they had kept secret for so long? The alien ship's landing was silent, its presence nearly undetectable on Earth's bustling surface. As the doors of the vessel opened, the cool breeze of the unknown swept in, carrying the scent of fresh grass and distant sea air. The aliens stepped out, cloaked in dark, shimmering suits designed to blend in with Earth's environment. Their mission was clear: observe, understand, and most importantly, uncover the truth about the hidden power of humanity. They weren't sure what to expect from Earth's surface. The images they had gathered from their orbit around the planet had painted a picture of a world in turmoil, conflict, inequality, and technological advances that were still in their infancy compared to their own civilization. But now, as they stood on the ground, they saw something else. There was something unique about the humans they observed. A resilience, a drive that they hadn't fully understood before. The air was thick with potential, as if the very ground they stood on carried the weight of the humans' untapped strength. The leader of the alien group looked around. We must tread carefully. The humans may not yet be aware of what they possess, but if they do become aware... His voice trailed off as the realization settled in. If humanity discovered their true potential, there would be no stopping them. The very fabric of the universe could be rewritten. The team of aliens moved through the city, carefully monitoring the humans. They observed them from a distance, studying their interactions, their behavior. It was clear that the humans were a complex species, driven by emotions and ideals that defied logic and reason in ways that even the most advanced alien minds struggled to comprehend. Yet in every action, every decision, there was an unmistakable undercurrent of something more, an inner power that came alive when humans were pushed to their limits. The aliens noticed an intriguing scene unfold in front of them. A group of humans was gathered in the town square, their faces filled with a mixture of frustration and determination. They were protesting, fighting for a cause that was larger than themselves. It wasn't the first protest they had observed, but there was something different about this one. There was an energy in the crowd that the aliens could feel, even at a distance. They're willing to fight for what they believe in. The second in command whispered, watching the humans' faces. Even though they have no idea how much power they truly possess, they're willing to risk everything. The leader nodded. That's the key. They fight not only for survival, but for something greater, a sense of purpose. It's that drive, that spirit, that gives them the strength they don't realize they have. We've underestimated them before, but we cannot afford to do so any longer. The humans, led by an ordinary woman who had been organizing the protest, were speaking out against a corrupt system, one that had held power for far too long. Despite the risks they faced, they refused to back down. There were no weapons in their hands, no armor or shields to protect them. Only their voices, their unity, and their unwavering belief that change was not only possible, but necessary. The woman stood tall in front of the crowd, her eyes blazing with a fiery determination that seemed almost otherworldly. She was an ordinary human, just like the others, yet there was something about her that radiated strength, an inner power that the aliens could not deny. The crowd followed her lead, their spirits ignited by her words. The energy in the air was electric, palpable, as if something inside them was awakening. "This is the moment," the second in command muttered. "The human spirit is undeniable. This is the hidden power we've been searching for." The leader of the alien team watched in silence, his mind racing. But why? Why now? Why did they choose this moment to reveal their strength? There must be something else, something deeper that we don't understand yet. Suddenly, the woman on the podium raised her hand, and the crowd fell silent. Her voice, calm yet firm, carried across the square. "We've been told we are powerless, that we are too small, too weak to make a difference. But that is a lie. Look at us. We are here, united, ready to fight for what is right. We are the power. We are the change the world needs." The alien leader's heart raced. There it was again. The belief, the drive, that spark of untapped power. The humans had always believed in their own potential, even when the universe itself seemed to deny it. In the face of insurmountable odds, they didn't back down. They fought with a spirit that couldn't be broken. And that spirit, the aliens now realized, was what made humans truly dangerous. They weren't just a species with the potential to unlock hidden powers. They were a species that had already done so in their own way. Every time humans came to a breaking point, when they were pushed to the edge, they didn't simply survive, they thrived. It wasn't about strength in the traditional sense. It was the power of the human spirit that propelled them forward, no matter the cost. As the protest continued, the aliens watched from the shadows, their minds racing with the possibilities. The humans were beginning to awaken, but how far would they go? What if the entire human race was on the verge of discovering its true power? Could the aliens even stop them if they tried? The leader of the alien team turned to his crew, his eyes filled with both awe and fear. "This is only the beginning. These humans, they've only scratched the surface of what they can do. We cannot let them discover their full potential. Not yet." The young scout, who had been so eager to uncover the truth about humanity's strength, looked at the scene unfolding before him. He could see the fire in the eyes of the humans, the conviction that they were on the verge of something monumental. But maybe they don't need to be stopped. Maybe it's time for the universe to see what they're truly capable of. The leader's eyes hardened. "We cannot afford to let them become a threat to the galaxy. We've already underestimated them. Now we must make sure they never reach the point where they can challenge us." As the protest reached its peak, with the crowd roaring in support of their cause, the alien team moved deeper into the city. They knew their mission was more important than ever. The humans were awakening something within themselves, something that could not be ignored. But whether it would be a force for good or evil was still unclear. What they knew for sure was that humanity's future, and the future of the entire galaxy, was about to change forever. The aliens had uncovered the truth. Humanity's greatest power was not their technology, nor their weapons. It was their spirit. And now, with the truth in their hands, the aliens had to decide. Would they try to suppress it, or would they allow the humans to discover their full potential and risk everything? The night sky stretched endlessly above the alien team as they watched humanity unfold its potential below them. The city around them was alive with energy, but beneath the bustling streets and bright lights, a much deeper force was stirring. The humans, unaware of the true power they harbored within themselves, were on the brink of something monumental. The aliens could feel it, a shifting in the air, a change that was beyond their understanding. They had observed enough to know that this hidden power was real, but the question remained, what would humanity do with it? As the leader of the alien team stood at the edge of the city, his mind was consumed with possibilities. They had underestimated humanity for too long, but now that they knew the truth, humanity's power wasn't just physical strength or superior intellect. It was their unwavering will, their indomitable spirit. And that made them more dangerous than any advanced weapon or technology the aliens had encountered. The leader stared down at the city below, filled with humans who were unknowingly standing on the edge of something far greater than they could imagine. "We need to act quickly," the second-in-command said, his voice urgent. "The longer we wait, the more likely it is that the humans will awaken their full power. If they do, they'll be unstoppable. We need to keep them from realizing what they're capable of." The leader's gaze hardened. He knew the second-in-command was right. If the humans discovered the full extent of their power, nothing would stand in their way. But the more they observed, the more they realized they couldn't control this. This was a force beyond their understanding, something organic and unpredictable, woven into the very fabric of humanity. "We cannot suppress this power without consequences," the leader muttered, deep in thought. "It's in their nature, their spirit. The moment we try to control it, we risk triggering a backlash. A force like this is not easily contained. We must consider the long-term effects." "But what if they choose to use it against us?" The second-in-command's voice was tinged with concern. "We've seen what they can do in small groups, but what happens if the entire species awakens to their potential?" The leader turned, his face etched with the weight of the decision they now faced. "Then we prepare for the worst. But we can't underestimate them any longer. If we wait, if we give them time to discover what they are truly capable of, we risk losing control over this entire galaxy." Their conversation was interrupted by the sudden appearance of the young scout. His face was pale, and his eyes wide with fear. "They've started to realize something. I've been monitoring them. And there are signs, small, subtle changes, but they're happening faster than we thought." The leader's pulse quickened. "What kind of changes?" "They're awakening, not just as individuals, but as a species," the scout said, his voice shaking. "The collective consciousness is starting to connect. It's like they're beginning to understand that they are not alone in their struggle, that together they can do more than they ever thought possible. Their unity is what's driving them, and it's growing." The second-in-command's expression darkened. "If they unify their strength, they could be more powerful than we ever imagined." The leader clenched his fists. "Then we need to act before it's too late. We need to get to the source of this awakening." The aliens quickly regrouped in their ship, ready to act. They knew what they had to do now. They needed to stop the humans before their full potential could be unleashed. But there was a part of the leader that hesitated. He had watched the humans up close, and there was something undeniable about them. Their potential for destruction was matched only by their potential for creation. Would they be doing the galaxy a favor by suppressing their power, or would they be preventing something that could benefit everyone? But there was no time to answer these questions. The humans were already on the cusp of realizing their potential, and that realization could come at any moment. The leader turned to his crew, giving the final command. "Prepare for the next phase. We need to stop them before they stop us." As the ship soared into the sky once more, the aliens watched the humans below, still unaware of the enormous power they were about to awaken. And the closer they came to the heart of this growing human force, the more the leader felt the weight of the decision upon him. It wasn't just about the humans anymore. It was about the entire galaxy. Could they really suppress this newfound strength? Or would they be forced to face the consequences of allowing humanity to awaken their true potential? The ship descended toward a city on the brink of change, its people unknowingly standing at the threshold of a new era. The aliens were prepared for battle. But what they didn't know was that they were about to face an enemy far more formidable than anything they had anticipated. It was not a force of weapons or armies. It was the force of humanity's spirit, a power they had never encountered before. As the aliens moved to engage, they began to realize that this was not just about defeating an enemy. It was about understanding the very nature of the humans they had so long underestimated. They had discovered humanity's hidden power, but what they hadn't counted on was the truth of what that power could mean. It wasn't just about strength. It was about the will to rise, the ability to defy the odds, and the relentless belief that anything was possible. The aliens were now fighting not only for survival, but for the future of the universe. And as the humans began to stir, their strength growing with each passing moment, the galaxy would never be the same again. The battle for the future had only just begun. In this fifth part of the story, the stakes rise dramatically. The aliens realize that they are too late to prevent humanity from awakening their hidden power, and the tension builds as they prepare to stop humanity before they reach their full potential. The aliens' fear of the unknown, combined with their desire to control the humans, creates a strong sense of urgency. At the same time, the humans are slowly becoming aware of their power, creating a thrilling and uncertain atmosphere. The story is reaching its peak, and the fate of both the humans and the aliens is now in question. The alien ship hovered above the city, the engines silent but humming with an eerie anticipation. The leader stood at the helm, his eyes scanning the streets below as he contemplated their next move. They had reached the point of no return. The humans were awakening to their power, their spirit growing stronger with each passing moment, and with every new realization, the tension in the galaxy seemed to mount. As the team watched from above, they could feel the pulse of energy rising from the humans on the ground. It wasn't something they could touch, but it was unmistakable, an unrelenting force that had been waiting for the right moment to erupt. The humans were drawing closer to unlocking the very power the aliens had feared, and once they did, there would be no stopping them. The aliens were certain of that now. "We can no longer delay," the leader muttered, his voice steady but laced with a hint of unease. "The moment is upon us. The humans are beginning to realize what they're capable of, and we cannot allow them to unleash their full potential. We must stop them before they stop us." The second in command nodded in agreement. But how? They don't even know the full extent of their power yet. They're still at the beginning of the awakening process. We can still prevent it from growing. The leader turned toward him, his eyes cold. "The question is not how we stop them. The question is if we can. We've underestimated them for too long. These humans, they aren't like any species we've encountered before. They don't give up. Their will is stronger than we anticipated. They are dangerous precisely because they don't know how dangerous they are." The young scout, who had been more optimistic about humanity's potential, hesitated for a moment. "But maybe it's not too late to change our approach. We've seen the power they possess, but we haven't seen the consequences of their strength yet. What if they're not a threat at all?" The leader interrupted, his voice firm. "What if we let them discover their potential? What if the universe changes, and they become something more than just a species fighting for survival? The danger is too great. We can't afford to risk it." The scout fell silent, torn between his growing admiration for humanity's spirit and his loyalty to the mission. The leader, sensing the scout's hesitation, turned his attention back to the ground below. It was clear that time was running out. The humans were about to awaken, and the decision was no longer about whether they should stop them. It was about how far they were willing to go to ensure the galaxy remained under their control. But as the aliens prepared to act, something unexpected happened. The streets below seemed to pulse with energy, not in the chaotic, uncontrolled way the aliens had feared, but in a focused, directed surge. The humans, in their growing awareness, weren't simply reacting. They were organizing, coming together, and channeling that raw power into a singular purpose. It was as if they had unlocked something far deeper than physical strength or mere willpower. The leader's eyes widened as he observed the scene. No, they're not just waking up. They're connecting. This isn't just about fighting for survival anymore. This is something more. They're building a collective consciousness. The second in command studied the humans below with growing concern. It's true. Look at them. They're aligning their intentions. They're working together as one. If they can unify their will, they could reshape the entire galaxy, and they don't even know how powerful they truly are. The leader clenched his fists, his mind racing. He had thought they had everything under control. The humans were a primitive species. They had seen war, division, and struggle. They had seen weakness, but now what they were witnessing was something entirely new. The humans weren't just surviving, they were evolving. They're evolving faster than we anticipated, the leader said, his voice barely above a whisper. We have no idea what they're capable of. And that is precisely why we must act. We cannot let them become a force greater than us. The aliens quickly moved into action, their ship descending rapidly toward the center of the human gathering. They had one chance to stop what was unfolding, one chance to suppress the growing strength of humanity. But as the ship neared the ground, the leader's thoughts began to twist with uncertainty. Was this the right course of action? Could they really stop something this deep, this inherent to the human's nature? Before the aliens could make their move, however, a strange sensation gripped the leader's chest. It was as if the very atmosphere had changed. There was no warning, no sound, but something felt different. The humans below had become aware of their presence. They didn't know what the aliens were, but they felt the shift in the air. Something ancient, something primal, began to awaken within them. The leader's eyes darted to the city streets as he saw the humans stop in their tracks, looking up toward the skies. Their expressions were a mixture of fear and determination, but there was something else, something they couldn't quite place. For a split second, the aliens felt as though the humans were looking directly at them, aware of their every movement, their every thought. The leader staggered back in shock, his breath caught in his throat. They know we're here. The second in command furrowed his brow. How could they? We've been careful. We've been watching from the shadows. Something's changed, the leader whispered. They've tapped into something we can't even understand. Their connection, their awareness. It's growing stronger by the second. Before they could react further, a hum filled the air, a deep, resonating vibration that shook the ground beneath their feet. The humans, now fully united, raised their hands toward the sky in unison. The power they had unlocked was no longer just a flicker. It was a blazing force that surged toward the heavens. The air crackled with energy, as if the very atmosphere had become alive with the intensity of their will. The leader watched in disbelief as the humans began to glow, their collective energy creating an almost tangible force. The power that the aliens had feared wasn't a weapon, nor was it a singular entity. It was the unity of the humans, their shared spirit, their determination to rise above all odds. The leader realized then, with a chilling clarity, that humanity's strength wasn't in their minds or their bodies. It was in their hearts, in their souls, in their shared will to defy any force that tried to hold them back. The aliens had failed to understand the true nature of the humans all along. The second in command turned to the leader, his face pale. It's too late, isn't it? They've awakened. They're beyond anything we've prepared for. The leader's eyes hardened as he looked at the humans, now radiating a power that seemed to pulse through the entire city. Yes, he replied softly. It's too late, but we have one choice left. The choice, as he saw it, was no longer about controlling humanity. It was about surviving. The aliens had misjudged their adversaries, and now the galaxy would face the consequences. They had awoken a force they couldn't contain, and the balance of power was shifting in ways they could never have anticipated. The humans were no longer the prey. They were the hunters. And the galaxy would never be the same again. In this sixth part, the tension reaches its peak as the aliens finally realize they can no longer control or suppress humanity's growing power. The humans have united in a way the aliens never expected, awakening an unimaginable force within themselves. The narrative shifts dramatically, with the aliens now scrambling to understand their mistake and facing the terrifying truth. Humanity has evolved into a threat that could reshape the future of the universe. The atmosphere was thick with a tension that had never existed before. The humans below were glowing with a radiant energy, their collective will rising in unison like a mighty storm that was building to a breaking point. The aliens, now hovering silently above them, watched in awe and fear. What they had once seen as a fragile and primitive species was now turning into something that might rival even the oldest and most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. The leader of the alien team stood motionless, his hands clasped tightly behind his back. His mind raced with 1,000 questions, all of them impossible to answer. How had this happened? How had the humans, who had been so easy to underestimate, managed to awaken such a powerful force within themselves? What was this energy that now pulsed through their collective consciousness, this undeniable force that was shaking the very foundations of the world? They'd reached their full potential, the second in command said, his voice barely a whisper, filled with disbelief. We didn't stop it. We didn't even know how to stop it. How could we have been so blind? The leader of the alien team didn't respond immediately. He couldn't. His thoughts were consumed by the overwhelming truth they were facing. Humanity had tapped into something that was beyond comprehension. It wasn't just strength or willpower that they had unlocked. It was something deeper, something almost spiritual, an ancient energy that had been lying dormant within them, waiting to be awakened. And now, the humans had unlocked it. The entire species had become a singular force, and in doing so, they had transformed the balance of power in the galaxy. What do we do now? The scout asked, his voice trembling with a mix of fear and awe. How do we control this? How do we stop them? The leader slowly turned to face his team, his expression unreadable. We can't stop them. We never could. The scout's eyes widened. What do you mean? We have to try. We can't just let them. The leader raised a hand, silencing him. The truth is, we underestimated humanity from the beginning. We thought we could contain their power, suppress it, control it. But we were wrong. This power, it's not something we can control. It's something that's been inside them all along, and now they've unlocked it. We can't hold back what's already awakened. The second in command looked toward the humans, who stood in a perfect line, their hands raised toward the heavens. The energy around them was palpable, shimmering with an intensity that made the air itself feel alive. The entire city seemed to hum with a power that now surged through the streets, the buildings, the earth beneath them. They're no longer just a species, the second in command said, a shiver running down his spine. They are a force, a singular collective consciousness. They've become something more. The leader's gaze hardened as he observed the humans. And this is exactly why we cannot afford to let them spread this power beyond Earth. If they unify their strength, if they share this energy with the rest of the galaxy, they will become unstoppable. We cannot risk them becoming a threat to everything we've built. There was a long silence before the second in command spoke again. But how do we stop them now? We can't fight them with weapons. They've unlocked something within themselves that we don't even understand. How do we fight what we can't even comprehend? The leader paused for a moment, then spoke in a voice that was both steady and resigned. We don't fight them. We wait. The team members exchanged confused glances. Wait. For what? The leader turned and looked at the scout. The humans may have unlocked a new power, but they're not fully aware of what it means yet. Their unity is what makes them dangerous, but it's also their greatest weakness. They are still evolving, still learning what they can do with this power. If we wait long enough, if we let them grow and explore, they may reach a point where they are no longer united in purpose. Their power could fracture. The second in command narrowed his eyes. You think they will fail. You think they will fall apart. The leader didn't answer immediately. The truth was, he didn't know. What he did know was that humanity's strength was rooted in their unity, in their shared belief that anything was possible. If that unity were to break, if the humans became divided, their power would dissipate. They would become just another species, struggling to survive in a chaotic universe. The leader's voice grew quieter. Perhaps their greatest strength is also their greatest flaw. But we have to give them time. The longer they remain united, the stronger they will become, and the more dangerous they will be. If we act too soon, we risk making them our enemies. If we wait, we may be able to see where their strength truly lies. And if it's something that we can control. Another long pause filled the air as the leader's words stank in. The aliens had learned the hard way that humanity's true power wasn't in their technology or their weaponry. It wasn't in their intellect or their ability to conquer worlds. It was in their collective will, their shared drive to defy impossible odds. And if the aliens were to survive this, they had to understand that power in a way they never had before. The scout finally spoke again, his voice tentative. What if they don't fail? What if they succeed? The leader's eyes darkened. Then we adapt. But we cannot underestimate them anymore. Humanity is not just a species to be controlled. They are a force to be reckoned with. And if they succeed in uniting the galaxy behind their cause, we will have no choice but to either join them or face extinction. The ship hovered in the air for a long moment, silent, as the team watched the humans below. They were still gathered in their perfect formation, the power in the air growing stronger, the hum of energy vibrating through the atmosphere. The city around them seemed to pulse with the newfound energy, the very earth beneath them shifting as if it too were awakening to the possibilities of what was to come. The leader turned back to his team, his face set with determination. Prepare for the next phase. We'll wait, but we'll also be ready for anything. As the ship silently ascended, disappearing into the dark expanse of space, the humans below continued to glow with the power they had unlocked. They were no longer just fighting for survival. They had become something more, a force that could reshape the universe. The galaxy, once ruled by the powerful and the advanced, was now at the mercy of a species that had only just begun to realize its true potential. And in the silence of space, the alien team knew one thing for sure: the universe would never be the same again. Humanity had awakened to its power, and there was no turning back. In this seventh part, the true scale of the shift in power is revealed. The humans have unlocked a force within themselves that makes them a threat, not just to the aliens, but to the entire galaxy. The aliens, now realizing they are dealing with something they cannot control, are forced to change their approach. The story reaches a pivotal point as the aliens decide to wait and watch, hoping that humanity's power will eventually splinter before they become an overwhelming force. The fate of the galaxy now hangs in the balance, and humanity's journey to understanding its potential has only just begun.